Well, it's that time of year again. This week we'll have the winter solstice coming up. And so the topic of my talk today is dedicated to the light. Dedicated to the light. You know, the solstice is the longest night of the year. So, of course, every culture, every major religion has some sort of ritual at this time of year that celebrates the light. Because there's an innate human understanding that the light doesn't necessarily come from without us. It's something that burns within us, and that we can access it even when the external world is in the darkness. So, you know, the pagans have always celebrated the solstice. Stonehenge in England was probably built to honor the solstice. That's when all the stones line up and the sun comes exactly right through. The Buddhists have Enlightenment Day on December 8th. The Zoroastrians celebrate the death of their savior Zarathustra, or Zoroaster, on December 26th. Of course, the Jews have Hanukkah. This year, Hanukkah starts on the 24th of December, so that's to celebrate the never-ending light. And interestingly, originally, the Christians celebrated the birth of Jesus on January 6th. That's the Greek Orthodox Church still celebrates it there to this day. And it wasn't until about 325 AD, around the time of the Council of Nicaea, that Emperor Constantine actually moved the date to correspond with the solstice. Because Constantine was nothing if not a politician. And he was tired of all of the different Christian sects arguing over when to celebrate this holiday. And then you had all the pagans celebrating the solstice. He just put an end to it and said, fine, we're doing it all on December 25th. And so that's how we got Christmas. So hopefully I didn't, ruin anybody's illusion that the baby Jesus was really born on December 25th and that we have a birth certificate that says so. Nobody knows when he was born, but we celebrate the birth here. Now, the thing that all of these religious traditions have in common as they celebrate this time of light in the darkness is that it's a time of rededication. The Jews rededicate themselves to the belief that God will always provide, even in circumstances that look like he won't. The Buddhists rededicate to the eightfold path that leads them to enlightenment. The pagans rededicate to their spiritual practice that honors the natural world that they go through year after year after year. And of course, in Christianity, we are called to rededicate to the teachings of love and kindness and compassion. And so that's what it means to be dedicated to the light. And I love Doreen's quote that she read, we never want the light more than when we're in darkness. You never appreciate the warmth more than when you've been cold. You never appreciate a voice more than when you haven't had one. My husband was out of town the last 2 days when I couldn't talk, and he's like, what, I missed it? So I immediately ordered something from the whole store for his Christmas. Anyway, we always feel more in tune with the light in the darkness. Don't you feel yourselves feeling that this time of year? I think that's why even in our busy lives, even if we don't like Christmas, even if we hate the commercialization, there's something there that calls us to something deeper this time of year. We kind of feel it innately. And I think it's because that's part of our natural rhythm, is to remember that the light is coming back. By next weekend at this time, the sun will have already stopped and started moving the other direction, coming back for the days to be longer. So the light is coming back. But how do we bring that into the world? We are the instruments of God on earth. God works through us and as us. So how do we bring light into the world? Well, the first thing we can do, as trite as this sounds, is we can pay it forward. We can pay it forward. I love the quote, rather than curse the darkness, light a candle. Rather than curse the darkness, bring the light. Around the election, I said this multiple times, rather than talking about how those people over there are causing so much division, stop that and see the oneness. We can't control what other people do, but we can control how we show up. And when we pay it forward, we are inherently acknowledging our own faith. When we know that we have all we need, when we stand in that place and we say, God is providing for me right now, and I don't have to be afraid, I don't have to fear that I won't have enough, I don't have to hurt, I don't have to be lonely, I don't have to be anything that I don't want to be, because God is moving through me. When we stand in that place and pay it out into the world, we inspire others to feel the same way. So however small this is, last Christmas, my daughter was home and we went to Starbucks on like the 20th of December. We ordered a whole bunch of stuff and we pulled up to the window and they gave it to us and they said, the car in front of you paid for yours. Isn't that one of those wonderful, uplifting surprises? Have you ever gone through a toll booth and someone ahead of you paid your toll? Have you ever paid someone else's toll? And you know how cool that feels when you leave the extra money for them to do it? These are simple, simple, simple things. Let's start with this one. Don't judge anyone. Don't judge anyone. How about that for paying it forward? This time of year, when you see someone driving erratically or, tackling you to get to the sale sweater table that you were on your way to, or in line and heading you in the grocery store counting out pennies for their $8.97, what if you just don't judge? What if you pay it forward by extending the light that lives in you to them and cutting them a break and making the world a little more compassionate? So pay it forward. It's really simple and really small and really huge at the same time. The other thing we can do to be dedicated to the light, let's embrace Pollyanna. Do you guys all know Pollyanna? She was the character in a 1913 novel, and then Disney made a movie of it in 1960, so before everyone here's time, I know, but Pollyanna always saw the good. Now, I never really knew the story of Pollyanna that well, but the story goes, Pollyanna's father had taught her a game called the good game. And the game is that you always look for the good in every situation, no matter what. So Pollyanna's parents are killed, and she goes to live with this stern old aunt who doesn't like little children, doesn't want little children around, and isn't very nice to Pollyanna. But Pollyanna always has to see the good. So she finds the good. When her aunt locks her in the attic as punishment, she sees the good because now she can have a better view of the beautiful trees out her window. When her aunt punishes her and gives her only bread and milk to eat, she celebrates because she loves bread and milk. And so there's nothing to be upset about here. She'll eat again someday. Now, Pollyanna's gotten a bad name. It's become synonymous with being unrealistically optimistic and therefore insensitive. And I can see that because we can't be Pollyanna about anybody else's life. If someone suffers a loss, you can't be Pollyanna to them and say, get over it, just look at the good. But we can be Pollyanna to us. We can shift our own consciousness to see the good. And that's where Pollyanna can be embraced. We can't walk anybody else's journey, and if they're struggling or hurting, we don't want to be insensitive and say, this is great, so what? Your car just got wrecked, or, you just have some terrible disease diagnosed. Get over it. That's where Pollyanna gets the bad name. But we don't have to go there with them. We don't have to go there with them. If a friend comes to us with bad news and they are struggling, we can be compassionate in their struggle and we can listen. But the way we bring the light is that we stand there knowing the higher truth. There is no such thing as sin, sickness, or death. We are the light and we are one with God, and everyone else is too. And so we can listen with compassion. That's the paying it forward part. While we embrace the good game in our own consciousness, while we know that there is always good to come from everything. God is always working on our behalf. Always. Always. And if something doesn't look like it's good, it's because it's a snapshot in time. We all love that quote, everything turns out all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end. That's that process. So we can embrace Pollyanna. just so corny, but let's practice goodwill. Let's practice goodwill. Let's not just say peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Let's practice it. So I rewatched, Steve was out of town for a couple days, and of course I couldn't talk, so I had lots of time on the couch. And I watched A Christmas Carol. Pick a version, I own them all, I know them all. I can recite the dialogue by heart. I can tell you which version left it one out. But anyway, I watched it again, because God knows I haven't seen it enough. But this is Charles Dickens' message. It's practice goodwill. You know, from the very beginning of the story, I'm assuming you all are vaguely familiar with this story. You know, Ebenezer Scrooge, three ghosts, Christmas past, present, future, right? At the very beginning, Scrooge is visited by the ghost of his partner, Morley, who died on Christmas Eve. And at one point, the ghost howls in agony about the chains he's carrying. And Ebenezer Scrooge tries to make him feel better and says, "But Jacob, you were always a good man in business." And Morley comes unglued and says, "Mankind was my business." That pretty much sums it up right there. Mankind is our business. And of course the story goes, then Ebenezer Scrooge then has all of these lovely opportunities to reflect upon the past and the present and the potential future if he doesn't change his ways, about how he's not living that mankind is his business. He's sitting in his dark counting house, worried about every farthing and every tuppence, and not giving. Now, of course, we look at that every year. I mean, I watch it every year. And it's such a wonderful morality tale, but do we practice goodwill? Do we put money in the Salvation Army thing when the bell ringers ring? I do it every single time. I don't go, "Oh, I gave last week." Do we, again, cut people some slack? Do we think about humanity as our business by being dedicated to knowing the light within each other? As I was working on this talk, I was looking for stories to illustrate this, and I came upon something that I'm going to show you. We're going to watch a video clip here in a minute. There's a Canadian airline called WestJet. Has anybody ever flown WestJet or heard of WestJet? Yeah, they're a great airline. And every year they do some amazing Christmas stunt that illustrates all of my points. Dave, if you get it up on the screen. So we're going to watch, this is their 2015 Christmas Miracle. So, and remember, Dave, just switch the audio over. Okay.
Today, we have the chance to do something we've never done before. Over the next 24 hours across 10 time zones in over 90 destinations, our fellow WestJetters will head out into the world and attempt to complete 12,000 mini miracles. That's one act of kindness for every one of us. Because we believe in making the world just a little brighter.
Ended up passing away in October.
So I'm happy to tell you that you'll be going to Walt Disney World in Orlando.
Wow!
Whether a small gesture or life-changing event, one thing is certain. We're going to use the good in us to celebrate the good in others. Spread cheer. Deliver joy.
Santa Claus came to the beach!
who you are or where you're from, you're significant. Your dreams are yours.
Thanks to WestJet, you're all getting 2 round-trip tickets to Vancouver.
Here's some lunch for you.
We're here today to say thank you for your service.
We'd like to send you with your entire family on vacation to Hawaii.
This season, our hope is that we'll inspire others to spread the spirit of Christmas.
I think it's time for a big miracle update.
Every time we give or do a little extra for someone else, it feels good. And that is what the season's all about.
Miracles can happen when we work as one. I wasn't sure how much voice I'd have, so I thought WestJet said it pretty beautifully. Every year. So if you guys are interested, go back and Google all of their Christmas commercials. They're amazing. They do this every year at Christmas. What a great company. So if you own a business, can you have your business do something like that? You don't have to go to this extent. But they did everything from buying a cup of hot chocolate, donating a few toys to their animals. It's a culture. If you volunteer for an organization, can you practice goodwill and set it up in the culture of your organization that you volunteer in? Can you shift your life from the perspective of being fearful that you won't have enough to being a giving, generous person who's dedicated to knowing the light within each of you, the light within ourselves, the light within every single person we meet, and actually acting from that place? I don't know if you caught the numbers, but they set out to do 12,000 mini miracles because there were 12,000 WestJet employees. They did over, 38,000 with that last slide. It's contagious. Everybody starts giving. Everybody does it. So can you be that pebble in the pond of consciousness that we say in our vision statement? Can you be the light? Rather than curse the darkness, can you be the candle? Let's pray. So, in this sacred sanctuary, in this moment where we recognize that darkness exists and light always dispels it. In this moment where we absolutely know God, we know that God is that life, that animating power that lives through us and breathes through us and gives us the thought, the heart, the feeling, the ability to exist in this world. As we recognize that, we affirm that God is always good. God is always love, joy, compassion, peace, all of the things we strive for. God is. And therefore we are. We are the light. We are the good. We are the love. We are the peace. in that truth, and we recognize that this time of year, more than ever, we know that that power that creates worlds does so through us. Goodwill happens through us. And so we just embrace this truth this day. We recognize that there is that power and presence of good in our lives, that there is no real darkness. We bring the light wherever we go. We light a candle this day, recognizing that all is well. I accept for each one of us that we rededicate to what we already know, that God lives in us, that we are divine beings, that there is nothing wrong with us. We are worthy, amazing emanations of that one life. And that we take that worthiness and that confidence and that light out into our world, which is so crying for light. We are the change. We get to go into this Christmas season rooted and grounded and absolutely confident in the knowing that God is, and we are, and all is well. There is enough. We are enough. There is enough love. There is enough light. And so I know for each person here today that we leave this sanctuary with a new understanding. We leave this sanctuary today more compassionate, more willing to pay it forward, more willing to embrace the good and to see the Pollyanna in our lives, more willing to practice goodwill toward all beings. I accept for each of us that as we do this, we are more powerful than any darkness. We are more powerful than anything because we are living in alignment with that highest power. And so recognizing that this is the truth, I give grateful thanks because I know that this is so. I can trust it. We can trust it. I embrace this good. I know it is God. And I know that at this time of year, we truly are knowing peace on earth because we have peace within us. And as we embrace this, we can give grateful thanks for the good that is sure to flow. And so recognizing this, I just release these words, knowing God is good all the time. And I let it be. And so